Hello and welcome to the opening at Plas Gallery. Today we have a group show. So we won't be talking about specifics, we'll be talking about the collection and then the show, which is comprised of over 30 artists. So to begin, we have here Jason McLean, who makes paintings, drawings, inks, something like that, with a very map-like overtone. You know, he's really presenting something that's kind of abstract, but at the same time, it's a map. It has subway, icons. It has, it's an illustration made of ink and paint that is meant to indicate some type of order, some type of organization in our bodily functions and our order in our lives. So where we go, we can see it here, reflected. In addition to Jason McLean, who we'll see again in a second, we also have Susan Day, who does something very interesting with concrete and glass, and of course ceramic faces as well. So in this Susan Day piece, well, these two Susan Day pieces, we see a real emphasis on materials that require heat to be fixed, whether it's glass, whether it's concrete, whether it's a ceramic surface. We have one piece that is resplendent, reflective. You can almost see yourself in it, of various human faces with designs, emphasizing the uniqueness of us as a race, as a species. But in each face, there is a unique, attention given to what impression do I want to give off. Is this going to be a face composed of icons, or is it going to be a face composed of doodles? Is it a face that has its own identity, or a face that replicates that of another? And also in the work of Susan Day, we have some ceramics that give a bit of a more abstract feel to our 2D surface here. And of course, it's not truly a 2D surface when you have objects placed in suspension on concrete. So Susan Day is playing with this 2D versus 3D, sculptural versus representational. And of course, here in major place of prominence, we also have my favorite type of animal, a bird, which is skybound. So as we proceed, we have a Jason McLean sitting on the wall, a larger map, a slightly more aerated map, a map that has some speech bubbles, some ideas, but that doesn't really tell you what to think. There's a list, there are objects, there are symbols, but at the end of the day, these are sort of like a representational map of our consciousness. We don't focus too much on the individual meaning of any singular element, but rather we step back and we see, a beautiful surface decorated with ink renditions of messages, with ink renditions of maps. There's clearly some highlighter employed. I would assume that it's Bic highlighter, light blue. But there's also some ink. It could be a fountain pen, it could be a regular pen. But overall, this surface, which is two-dimensional, clearly placed up against the wall, unlike Susan Day's, we also, get this impression of, a map that's been put out for us. And here, still in the collection, we have the work of one Sunny, acclaimed artist based in New York. Birds, humans, flying, skulls, stars, hearts, all together in one gesture, in one movement. And now, having seen Sunny, we transition upstairs. Oh, you good, no worries. We transition upstairs to see a real transition. So as we walked here, you'll also see almost symbolically posted within the exhibition now, no longer within the collection, a door. And this door, also seemingly engineered by one Jason McLean, marks a transition between the downstairs and the upstairs, a passage, if you will. Still, very much in this ink and in this sort of illustrative style that seems to be mapping out our experience, but at the same time, superimposed on the door, on the red that is already there. And not only do we have a drawing, we have on this door a painting. And as we proceed now upstairs in the current show, the show that will be here until early August at Plas Gallery, brought to you by the Mixed Media Department, we have a whole plethora of works by over 30 artists. So there's no use in attempting to tell you about each and every one. The recommendation that we give you is that you really come here and experience it for yourself. But in each space on the wall, in each slot given to these artists, we see a huge difference in style. Here on the left, we have a more illustrative, woodblock print style. And as we proceed to the right, we have Aish doing an almost Salvador Dali-esque surrealism, but that then indicates to itself the codes that govern it. In each instance of a Dali painting, there is no randomness. It is all rhyme or reason. And you come to confront yourself with the 11s, the 14s, which tell you to place the color, which tell you to place... Surrealism is something of the past, and we can appreciate it as such. But we can't sit here in 2024 and tell ourselves this is original. Rather, we see the codification that has followed it. We see that surrealism has become something almost inorganic. And here, to finish our exposition for you, we have 6 works by 2 artists, one by Alejandro Casa and one by Lucy Stevens. And in each instance, the artists almost seem to be in conversation with each other, an excellent decision by the curator. Because on the top, in the works of Alejandro, we have a sort of collage, a superimposition of images, colors mixed with form. And on the bottom, we have Lucy Stevens with a triumphant gesture of figuration. And in this whole exhibition, as we wrap up our review, I want to emphasize to you the transition, the coexistence, the conflict between figure and abstraction. And as we head out of Plas Gallery, we can only say thank you, and please come and see this fantastic show.